Welcome, everybody, to the Party Invite show. I am your host, Tegan, joined today by our other party leader, Sovereign Sid.
Hello.
Who just raided into the channel. Go follow them on Twitch. And thanks, everybody who's joining us here in chat. We appreciate it. We're here every Thursday night to give you a show in two parts. One-part podcast with what we've been playing. It's always our intent to give you something new to play. New or old, hopefully it'll be new to you. We've also got some trailers lined up, our favorites from the Game Awards, which happened last week. I wish we could save the VOD from that because we had a really good time, but that's the way it goes. It's all live. It's there and gone, so it lives on in our memory. But
I do have that one clip.
Oh, you do?
The Softcam clip.
Whoops.
Because that's technically not copyrighted material because it was all me.
That's true. And it's keeping up in tradition because the previous year during the Game Awards, I accidentally messed up your camera specifically again. So I don't know what we'll do next year, but it's going to be even bigger and better than ever before. But let's see, what will we do? That's the first part. That'll be the podcast, and the second half will be finishing up Magicka 2, which we started 2 weeks ago on the show. We are a little over halfway through. I believe Sav and I have both beaten that game before, right?
I think so.
I think I have. I don't...
Like, it seems familiar so far, but I don't actually remember if I've ever reached the end.
Same. Yeah, everything we've played so far is about what you can beat in one good sitting. And so now we maybe are going to beat the game for the first time. It is a memorable game, but apparently the ending is not the thing that did or did not stick with us. But before we get to that, before we get to all of that, let's start with our Blissin' Up segment, which I tend to forget on these episodes. Blissin' Up, this is an opportunity for us to just speak positivity into the world, talk about something, gaming or non-gaming, that's made our lives a little brighter. So I've got something lined up in chat. Feel free to tell us here on Twitch. Anybody listening in the future, feel free to hit us up on Twitter, especially Twitter or Discord. I wanted to say last time that I went on a wonderful hike with some friends on Thanksgiving. We sort of made it an accidental tradition. Starting last Christmas, we went on a hike on Christmas Eve. It ended up being magical. Where we got to the height of this mountain and it started snowing right as we got there. It was very, very pretty. Very pretty. So we did something like that. Again, it kind of kicked our butts. I learned what a scramble was on a mountain, where there's not really a flat trail. You are climbing on rocks. Like, rocks are the trail. It went well for us. Kind of kicked our friends' butts. Oops. Bad planning on my part. But had a really good time just being out in nature. The weather couldn't have been better. Had some warm... Man, what did I have? I think I had, like, hot clam chowder after we got down, which was, man, exactly what I wanted it to be. It was really nice. Yeah, I got to see our friend Cram over at Demo Duo in the flesh.
I'm so jealous. They reached out to me during TwitchCon, and I definitely did not get the message until after I got home. And I'm like, no!
You're like, I swear I'm just now seeing this. Yeah. They were in TwitchCon as well, and someday we'll have to have the whole crew up here in Seattle for PAX West. I always say East by accident. For PAX West up here in Seattle sometime. If anybody in the community ever finds themselves this way, I'd love to give you some recommendations. Maybe say hello to each other. But this is not a podcast about PAX West. This is the Blissin' Up segment. So that hike was wonderful for me. Hoping to go and explore some nature again soon. It gets dark so early here that it's funny when I'm at the end of my work shift driving back to our hub. And it's been basically blackout for like an entire hour. Like the sky is so dark blue that it looks black. You can't always tell if there are clouds or not, because even if there aren't, you can't really see the stars or anything. So it's tough to tell. But then I'm on my way back to work, and way out in the west, I can see it's like bright orange. Like the very horizon is bright orange. The sun hasn't even gone down yet. It's just that the time of year and the cloud cover makes it get dark almost an hour before the sun actually goes down. And it goes down early. So really hoping to get my hours of daylight in again here, maybe over Christmas sometime soon. But loving it. Trying to touch some grass, as the gamers say.
Skyrim up some more mountains with the scramble.
Oh, I will. That's a promise. So how about you?
Somebody told me the other week, because I put this on for our segment last week, which we, of course, didn't get around to.
Oops.
Somebody told me that like they put me on like to listen to in the background, like when I'm streaming. And like that's always been like one of my like bucket list goals as a creator is just to like make content that people can just like find as easy listening.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even have to be like watching me. They could just be like lurking or whatever, or like cooking something in the kitchen, or cleaning their house, or I don't know, like feeding their cat or something. And I'm just on the screen, just doing my thing. And I'm just
Chilling.
like, oh, I think that would be like so cool to be like. I always thought it would be so cool to be like a background streamer like that. Like I do that for like Grand Pooh Bear. He's like the speedrunner that I always refer to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do that for Gabs Smolders. She's like the horror game playthrough. Jacksepticeye's girlfriend, who's like 10% as loud as Jack is, so it's more fun for me to watch.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, how cool would it be if I was like someone's like background stream? And apparently I am for some people, and that makes me feel really good.
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's a good feeling.
Imposter syndrome kind of like kicks in sometimes, and I'm just like, what's going on? So that made me really happy to hear.
Yeah, that's nice. Watching, like, I do most of my Twitch watching here on the computer, but it's really nice when I pass through the living room and see who Lizzie watches as her background streamers, and it's nice. It gives a whole vibe. I mean, it really does give a whole vibe to your living room or your house. So to hear that you're somebody's background streamer practically means you're part of the family. I'm joking a little bit, but not that much. A household name.
What's dinner? I'm hungry.
Well, speaking of dinner, there's a great segue for you. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of this podcast. Huh? Wait. What are the 4 things we're gonna eat? I think there are 4. Usually we'd eat them for Thanksgiving, but they're
greens, beans, potatoes, tomatoes.
Perfect. Well, let's get into our meats, greens, potatoes, tomatoes. Did I just mess that up? Even though you said it 5 seconds ago. Meats, greens, potatoes, tomatoes.
No, it's cool.
No,
it's the Tegan Thanksgiving.
Thank you. What would our Thanksgiving be? It'd be like mac and cheese, a second side of mac and cheese, some bacon, and hot toddies. That's our that's our Christmas.
That is a culture.
That is certainly is a culture. Those are indeed flavors. So I'm told. But no, enough of that. Let's talk about what we've been playing. Chat, let's give you guys some recommendations on some things that we've enjoyed that we think you'll enjoy as well. Sav, you've been playing Divine Knockout. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So for the people who are listening right now, he's saying it like that because the title the video that I linked is my personal video, which I titled Divine Knockout because I played with the devs of the game. It was a lot of fun. They had like an official, like every day so far this week, they had like a podcast, or not a podcast, but like a stream where they reveal something about the game. They talk to somebody who's worked on the game or have somebody who's worked on the game on the stream answering questions and things like that. So yesterday was during the live stream where they were talking about patch notes that they had just released. And after that, they reached out for games with the community. They only ever had time for the one. And I was lucky enough to be that one. I was super excited.
Oh.
But this game is so much fun, y'all.
That's cool.
People who are watching on the screen, they notice that I have like a really nice cosmetic for my character. That is the gold cosmetic, which you can only reach by reaching max level of that character. And to give you an idea of how long I've been playing this game for, I'm the first person who reached max level with that character in the world.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a feat.
Yeah, it was actually recognized by the executive producer of the game.
No kidding.
And I was just like, this is so cool. So, not to like toot my own horn or anything, but beep toot.
Dude, that's very cool.
But for those who are uninitiated, Divine Knockout is a 3D platform fighter. I guess you could call it platform fighter. It's like the world's first 3D platform fighter is how they tout it. It is made by Hi-Rez. It is published by Hi-Rez. Developed by a branch of Hi-Rez called Redbeard Games. And it it's meant so like the same people who did like Smite, Paladins, Realm Royale, Rogue Company, favorite around here. All those games there, Tribes Ascend, among others. So it's been released for a couple of weeks now. I've been playing since October, since I went to TwitchCon. And if you've been listening since then, I've been plugging it, here and there every now and then. But now it's out in the wild. It's out there. And from now until Monday, now being Thursday, you can actually get it free to keep on Steam. So it's
Oh,
free to keep, y'all. Yeah. Right now, it's in its founder season, which a lot of high-res games go through. So normally you would have to buy the founders pack to get access to it. Right now, it's sort of like an early access deal.
hmm.
And the founders pack for that is $25. You can get the ultimate pack, of course, for $50, which comes with more cosmetics and things like that. And of course, being an alpha tester, I was grandfathered into the game's release for free already. But you know me, I had to buy that founders pack because founders pack.
Of course.
So I got me that founders pack, y'all. It's actually a really good deal, but I'm not going to delve into it here. If you'd like to find out more information, divineknockout.com/launch editions, and you can go there and find out what all the founders packs come with if you don't decide to get it on Steam. Now, if you do have it on PlayStation, or if you do have PlayStation rather, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, you have PS Plus, period. I don't know if it's like tier dependent.
Hmm.
You can actually get the game for free with the founders pack for free. So you don't have to pay the $25 for the founders pack. You just get it for free.
That's nice.
If you do get it on Steam, it's just the base game. You don't get the founders pack or anything like that. So there's a lot of decisions, a lot of choice making when it comes to which version of the game you want to get. But I'm going to say, as someone who has been playing it for this long and I still haven't burnt out yet, even after 210 hours, I want to say, um, get it. It's good. It's good, y'all. It's good.
Hell yeah. Well, that's fantastic. Yeah, watching you play this, it totally checks out. This is a classic Sov game, you know. Um, when did this game originally release? Because my confusion, because you know that I am like halfway dyslexic. I mean, that's undiagnosed, but really though. So
Yeah.
I have trouble getting a lot of the words right in a lot of these games. So Knockout City is a game that's not this game. I think there's another Divine game that came out like in the past year or two that is something like this. I don't know, but this is Divine Knockout, or this is Divine Knockout.
Right.
Um,
DK.
so this one you said is so technically it hasn't released. You said that it was in like the early access, right?
So they're calling it officially released. The founder season is what they're officially calling it. So eventually, after the founder season passes, it'll become free to play. So to give you an idea of a time frame of when that's going to happen, Rogue Company was in the founder season for about 8 months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is like officially released, quote unquote. It's not in early access. It's more polished than an early access title would be, but it is what they call a living game, which means they will be doing, hotfixes, updating the game, adding content and stuff all throughout the founder season. And then once it gets to that certain point where they feel like it's like, okay, free to play, bam, then it'll go free to play. Um, but I mean, if you're not willing to wait that long, the founders packs are really good deals. They come with the base game comes with 3 gods, and that's it. Amaterasu, Hercules, and Volk, I want to say. And all of these gods can be found in Smite, but the roster won't be limited to gods that are in Smite. They specifically said they don't want to create a parallel game to Smite.
Don't blame
So
them.
I'm really interested into seeing like who they bring in here. I really want someone Egyptian in here. Zeus is the next god, and we already have so many Greek gods in here. Give me some of my Egypt. Get Bastet in there. Bastet. Give
Yeah,
me. I'll even settle for Ra, but I want Bastet because cats.
because
Um,
cats. Yeah, Egypt has a bunch of cool gods. Did you ever watch Moon Knight? Was that?
I did, not like actively, but I would come in and like watch while Bowser was watching, and like I had my eye on it. So I didn't really understand what was going on, but I'd see all like I saw Sobek, and I saw the hippo goddess or whatever, I can't remember her name,
Hmm.
like the ship
Yeah.
afterlife
The
driver. What do you call a ship driver?
not like
Like
caretaker, but like what is
Spirit Fair. She was the
Spirit
Spirit
Fairy?
Fair.
Yes, thank you,
Yay!
thank you. That's
Thank you, Game
a
Pass.
video game. Yeah.
But so far they haven't talked about any other releases besides Zeus, who comes out early next week. And their time frame for gods to be released. I say gods even though King Arthur's in the game and he's not one, um, is every 6 weeks. That's the time frame they're aiming for. So
Oh,
there's going to be, yeah. I
that's
was
quick.
surprised.
That's a
I
quick
was like,
turnaround. Most games, I mean, shoot, even a popular game with a ton of funding doesn't come out nearly that quickly.
when
Uh,
they said that, I was like, really, I'm like, I don't know about that, y'all.
how long?
Like,
How long was Multiverses? How long was it between Multiverses character updates? Like 2 months, maybe?
maybe?
Because I remember thinking that one was faster than I expected, but I wasn't paying very close attention to it. But 6 weeks feels like the fastest one I've heard. Oh, look at
I
that
guess since they
ball,
have
that
different.
boulder rolling on this King of the Hill
I'm
map.
so glad you mentioned that because during that very stream that I described earlier, the one that happened yesterday, the community named it. So, Cupcake, who was the hostess of the stream, High Res Cupcake, she was just like, "We need something. We need to do something with this boulder. We need to name it because Twitch etiquette means that if you name something on stream, it's that to the community forever," which is true because
Yes.
this name took off like a rocket. So her name is Roxy, and her pronouns are she, her,
Oh.
and she is she's here and she's queer.
not a
So
not a straight edge honor. Huh.
where's our pun counter?
Yeah. Oh no,
Odie!
we'd break it. It doesn't count that high.
Yeah, so that's Roxy. She's our resident regal of Rockslide Ridge.
See, and that's why this will be broken. We'll get a pun counter and alliteration counter. You and I'll just knock it out of the park on that one. Divine
really
knock it out of
would.
the park.
Ah!
So this is a team game, right? And not a free for all game, or does it have both?
So it has like the casual party modes, like as you see here at King of the Hill, there's Oddball, in which you carry a crown around the map and stuff instead of like a ball or whatever. And then there's standard elimination round called Knockout, and there's more. I'm forgetting. Coin Blitz, where you run around the map and you collect coins and you deposit into a trunk. So that's the casual modes. Like those are the modes that they're really like marketing. It's 3v3 like party game. But there are 2v2 and 1v1 competitive modes, quote unquote competitive modes that of course the sweaty tryhards, quote unquote, we're gonna gravitate towards. And I haven't explored those yet because I'm unlocking traits and talents that I want to use on my character Izanami before I go into there and start grinding up the ladder. Because there is a leaderboard, top 500 leaderboard.
Nice.
But there's something in there for everybody. There's a flavor for all kinds of gamers in there, and there are definitely lots of different play styles, depending on I mean, aesthetically, mechanically, ecumenically. No, no, I think it's like a really rounded, like a really well-rounded game. There's something in there for everybody.
Is that a
and
boulder joke again?
It is now.
Oh, Roxy. Old
I
pal.
think originally her name was going to be Roxanne, but Cupcake started singing the song, and she was like, "Well, we can't call her Roxanne because every time we talk about her, I'm going to get DMCA'd. So we're just going to shorten it to Roxy." And so Roxy was born.
And Roxy was born. Wow. Rolled onto the scene. And she's rolling like she's never rolled before, says Odysseus. Love it. Well, wonderful. So how did you play that? You played that on Epic, which you said it was you could just log in now and own it forever?
That would
Through
be on
Monday.
Steam. Through Monday, yes, on Steam. I'm playing it on Epic because I was grandfathered over, and then also the Founders Packs are video end.
Yep, oops.
And the Founders Packs are available on all platforms, but Steam right now is the only way to get it free to keep, except for PlayStation with the PS Plus membership.
Okay. Well, cool. Log in and go get that. Also, as a shout out to our Discord, we've had a lot of games that have been going on sale lately. I actually spent some time today building my wish list on Steam. Still not very big, but when stuff goes on sale, usually, especially if it's a multiplayer game, it's really helpful to have people shout that out. We're going to tomorrow. I believe that we're going to stream it. We're going to stream a game called Barotrauma, like barometric pressure. You're in a submarine.
Okay. Okay.
You're in a submarine, and it's like a survival game with, according to Russ, up to 16 players. Whoa. So anyway, it was on sale for $5 or $7. So a bunch of us picked it up. We're gonna try that out tomorrow. So if anybody is interested in seeing what that's like before you pick it up, make sure to come back here tomorrow night. We'll have some number of people playing it. Having such a high limit on players is, again, very nice for low commitment holiday gaming. So, but that'll be tomorrow, and I'll mention that again at the end of the stream. But what did we do? I played Warhammer yesterday. I played it on stream. You can still find the video for that, the VOD. I played that with Chris, played that with Deadpool and Fuzzy Man Peach, both in our community, both regular members here in chat and on our multiplayer streams. And then Hilford from your chat jumped in as well to fill the 4th spot. So anyway, we played Warhammer 40K Darktide. This is my first time ever playing any sort of Warhammer game. So I had very little knowledge going into it. I knew that this was a Left 4 Dead-like, just like Back 4 Blood is a Left 4 Dead-like. But I didn't know much beyond that. I knew there would be hordes of enemies. I knew that there are a lot of gross enemies in this game. I have watched a little bit of Vermintide, which is the like Warhammer. Warhammer has like a future fantasy era, which is what the Darktide is in, and then it has like a past fantasy one, like almost medieval magic fantasy. So I knew it was going to be gross and have like fun combat. I honestly expected that it was going to be clunkier than it ended up being. I was very happy with the way that the game played. So I'll get the video up here in a moment, but I can happily say that this game is worth playing along with Back 4 Blood. They are similar enough that if you like one, you'll probably like the other, but it can definitely stand on its own, where I can still imagine playing both of those games with the same or different groups of people. Seems cool, and got a lot of stuff that's unique enough that, like, again, you can tell that it's a Left 4 Dead-like, but it is not at all identical to Back 4 Blood. So I booted it up for the first time, did the tutorial and the character creation on stream yesterday.
Character creation.
That's right. It's not quite as robust as, well, so it's complicated. It does have some decent randomization options, and there are a lot of things to choose from. That said, every character that you make looks gross. And that's on purpose, and it's not a knock against the game. Just be aware that that's the character creator you're getting into. Your character will not look good. The best they can look is having only a few scars on their face and body. So be aware. But my favorite part of the character creation was actually all of the role-playing elements of here's your character's homeworld that you choose, and you have like 7 options. Here's your character's upbringing. Here's how your character got thrown in jail, because that's the way that your game starts. Here's how your character responds with callouts, like whether they see an enemy or are responding to the environment or some quest objective. There's a whole lot of flavor text as you're playing, so that your character's callouts really flesh out who your character is. And you can name them, so they aren't like an existing character like Back 4 Blood, where each character has a name that's given to them by the game devs, right? Like Holly. There's none of that here. You build your own character, and it really fleshes out how gross, and I keep using gross, but that I promise that is endearing. It has gross architecture that's wonderful, this great industrial junkyard-looking aesthetic to it. Gross enemies that, very gorily are dismembered by you and your team, so very, very rated M. Among other things. But let me get the video up here. I had a little problem refreshing my screen here. Okie doke, here we go. So here's my footage from last night, playing with the 4 of us. And I think it was Hilford who somebody described this game as a melee game that also gives you guns. And that is a very good description of it. You've got a health and a toughness bar. So basically a shield. Not quite a shield, but basically. The way that you recharge your shield is by standing near teammates, which is a wonderful mechanic for every single moment of the game, reminding you that you need to be standing very close to your team. If you wander off, you will immediately regret it. There are so many things this game will throw at you for running off on your own. So you don't want to do that. But your toughness raises through that, proximity with your team, and by meleeing enemies. And there are tons and tons of little fodder enemies that you can fight all the time. So when you need a heal, you actually run towards all of the little guys and start swinging your weapons. At the beginning of the stream, I was level 1. I think by the end, I was level 4, maybe. Unlocked a good handful of guns, which some of them are specific to my character, at least the order that I unlock them in. Every character is gonna get, and some others are, I think, related. I think I had one that was related to my upbringing. Like, it gave me a specific weapon earlier on because I chose something in character creation. So the point is that when each player makes their character, they really get to choose how they want their character to be. You don't have to play a certain way because you're trying to optimize your character, and you don't have to spend a bunch of time playing any weapon that you don't like. This game is designed for you to just keep using the weapons you prefer, and then you'll level them up just by using them. That's one of my favorite weapon mechanics in any game. So play your way. I played the veteran, who is the most straightforward character there is, because nobody else on the team was playing them. My character, the veteran, just shoots. They are a soldier. They just shoot really well. They have got a bunch of extra armor, or not armor, extra ammo, but they're a little squishy. But you can use a sniper. You can use this machine pistol that I have in the video. You can use an LMG is what I unlocked next. But all of them work. They're no bad weapons. And so there's a fun thing. Of course, the video is so small that you can't see this. But down by the health bars, there's an ammo meter. There's an ammo and a grenade meter. So you can see if your teammates have full ammo, low ammo, or zero ammo without having to ask them. And that's such a wonderful thing because you find ammo all over the environment, and you can, of course, ping it for your teammates. But, if my character chews through ammo, so I pretty much want to pick up any ammo that I can. And the fact that everyone can see when I'm low makes it so much easier. They just naturally ping stuff for me. Or know that, oh, hey, I'm full. It's not a big deal. We don't have to go scavenging for supplies. But the game, a lot of fun. You do all these randomized missions that have a bunch of different objectives. Right now, I'm shooting at our friend who had a dog leap on them. The dogs incapacitate you. They only do a little bit of damage, but your teammates have to come save you. You can't save yourself. But look, we're in this area that it has big wide open spaces, even though we're deep, deep underground. Big wide open spaces, this gross industrial thing. Everything's rotting, and there's water seeping up there.
I was gonna say this is a really good area, stage design or whatever. It really sells the aesthetic there.
Yeah, and so this is my first Warhammer game, and I was struck by not only how well the environments paint a picture of what this entire world is like. Everything's gritty. Everything is gritty. And there are no nice people. I bet if you ever met a nice person, they would just immediately die so they could prove the point that there are no nice people. No kidding, because every single character across the whole entire game just has this fanatical sense to them. All the enemies are heretics. All your characters, all the humans. Everyone devotes their entire life to the God Emperor of humanity. So it's a whole faith-based society. But the way that they flesh that out, I think they do a great job. But they have these names for everything that are made-up fantasy names, but they sound like real English words.
Like Shangri-La? I'm pretty sure.
I mean, maybe, but I'm thinking of there's a place they're go stop by the progenitor or something, or everything is most of a real word with some suffix on it that is the whole total is a made up word, but they're all real enough that when you look at them, you can just sound it out. Like they follow very obvious English conventions, so they don't seem like fantasy names. They seem like real words. Like several times I had to ask chat if those were real words I just didn't know how to pronounce, or if they were made up for Warhammer. But Deadpool was in chat saying Warhammer more like Lorehammer. Pointed out that oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought thinking of something that happened on stream last night. Pointed out that Warhammer has been around since the 80s, just like Dungeons and Dragons. And the teams that create all of this stuff have had so much time to polish what Warhammer is. Obviously, this is a new game, but the lore of it, the Lorehammer, is very well fleshed out. So it's great because I look at this and I see a game that has is such a good foundation to build on, that all that they had to focus on was making the game fun. They didn't have to spend a ton of time from scratch creating this world and reasons you should care about your character and all of this, because those already exist. They just needed to make the game fun. So look at this. I was just looking at a med pack that, or it's like a healing station, which was familiar from Back 4 Blood. But the healing stations are all people. They're gross parts of people, like not quite cyborgs. Deadpool said that in the Warhammer universe, computers are just humans. They use humans and their brains and their bodies to make computers, as if the game wasn't like disgusting enough. Yeah, humans are just fleshy computers. Yeah, that is definitely what the game was trying to tell us. There are even times like, in Destiny, you have your little floating buddy Ghost who flies around with you, tiny little robot triangle prism, in here you have a floating skull that has a bunch of wires like fused in it, and it just wanders around and gives you like quest updates and stuff. Yeah, it's all just, there's so many layers to it. It really hit me right. I would hope to talk about this on a future podcast as well once I've spent more time with it, but I don't want to spend just a huge amount of time tonight continuing to gush, because I really did have a good time in this. What I would say is this is definitely a game worth playing with a crew. It's a good enough game to play by yourself, but you're going to have a lot more fun if you're coordinated, especially if you're in voice chat with some pals. And importantly, while we were all playing this on Game Pass, this does not have crossplay with Steam. So if your friend buys it on Steam and you have it on Game Pass, you cannot play it together. So just keep that in mind. But really good time. Seems like it's worth the $40 price tag that you would normally pay on each of the other platforms. I think it's on everything but Switch.
Of course.
Of course. And I can imagine spending a lot of time in this game because the depth it gives with unlocks and how you can pick certain characters. Apparently there are talent points that I unlock at level 5. So I must be level 4 because I hadn't seen those yet. And the crew is telling me that I'll see those soon. So there's all sorts of stuff there. Oh, a little touch that I liked in this is that when you make your character, you name your character. You actually give your character their own name. And that character name floats above them the whole time here in-game, not your username. So that's nice because you spend all this time building your own specific character. It's nice that they feel, they actually have a real name that matters in the context of like looking around and interacting with your squad.
My immersion. Yeah,
and it what does it do? Like Fuzzy made his name Fuzzy Man Peach, which was very straightforward. But being able to feel like I'm still role-playing while I'm playing a game that is this straightforward, it's a horde co-op shooter, The genre's not new, but every once in a while we'll get something similar, usually a flash in the pan, but the Left 4 Dead likes have been the ones that people have demanded the most, So in Back 4 Blood, I'm not role-playing anything. Sometimes it seems like the game kind of wants you, to laugh and stuff. But and Back 4 Blood's a plenty good game, but I don't feel like I'm role-playing at all. And that's something I miss from playing tabletop games. I haven't played a real tabletop RPG in a while. So the fact that they give players like me extra fluff reasons to enjoy poking around this universe and feeling like I have my own character, I really appreciate it. I was hoping we'd see this on stream. This area I'm in right now is this giant cathedral that's very spooky. Ecto5, who you should follow here on Twitch, described it as gross Catholic art design, and that is true. As far as I know, there aren't any Space Marines in this game, but we see Space Marine stuff all the time. We just saw, I think, another Space Marine game at the Game Awards. But their whole thing is they're like ultra fanatical. Everybody's in worship of the God Emperor of humanity.
So who over at Warhammer do I have to sue for using my likeness as the God Emperor?
We'll get some numbers to you by the end of the stream. We'll find some emails, send some letters.
I would say that the thing I like about this is that you said something about earlier about how the lore is like super well established, and that reminds me of the Vampire the Masquerade
Oh yeah.
games. Apparently those have been around for like a long time as like, a media series. And so when Bloodhunt came out, all the world building was already done, all of the factions and everything. Prague, which was apparently a staple like in the media, was already like well established. And I thought that was really cool because like you said, you don't have to worry about all the exposition because it's just there already.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool, just removing all of the info dumping and everything so that you can fully just jump in and be a part of the world that already exists. I think that's really important.
Yeah, because
games especially like this too.
Some games can feel like it's, if I'm being cynical about it, they can feel like they're marketing grabs, at least at first, where you're like, okay, I get that this is in the Star Wars universe, but if I don't love Star Wars already, am I going to enjoy this? And big franchises can give you sometimes reasons to be like, oh, okay, they hoped that just the sheer numbers of players would float this game into success. This game does not feel that way. This game, immediately, it doesn't matter that I don't know Warhammer at all. And it doesn't matter that I've never played... Well, it wouldn't have mattered if I hadn't played Back 4 Blood. Or Left 4 Dead, so I don't need a lot of context in here, but it's a nice example of what a franchise can be to new players. It feels to me like there's no barrier to entry to this. I would say if you don't like really gory games, don't play this one because it's all over the place. In the tutorial, it gives you a chainsaw blade that you can rev up for a special melee attack. You can imagine how that goes. So if that's not your vibe, maybe skip this one. Back 4 Blood, while it's bloody, it's not... Well, it's a different kind of gross. It's more about the blood. This is more about the gore. So whatever that means to you, I had a good time with this, and I'm really looking forward to playing more. I will say when I loaded up, I just upgraded some stuff in my computer, and it told me to play on medium settings. And the game was good on medium settings. When I tried to stream it, I had to put everything at the rock bottom that it could go. So while this smaller video looks fine, for me playing on low settings, it looked okay. But it still gave me plenty of reasons to enjoy... Gosh, look at all these enemies. This is a boss fight right here. I got swarmed and threw every grenade and stabbed everybody with my knife. Yeah, I bumped it down to low, but even on low settings, it looked good. And the squad had mentioned checking out some videos of people playing this with, like, the top-of-the-line computers just to see how high it goes. And it goes high. This game can look really good. So, yeah, I would say, we all played on Game Pass. I got to recommend getting that because just like so many times, we suddenly all own this game and we can play together. If you don't have a computer that can run it particularly well, maybe pick it up on Xbox if you can. And I don't know if there's crossplay besides Steam. I don't think there's crossplay with anything outside of Game Pass. But it's a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm going to spend a lot of time with this, but still not done with Back 4 Blood, which continues to come out with Season Pass DLC. This is funny. There was a moment right there where we all thought we were alone, and I turned around, and it was like a moment from The Descent where there was an enemy just in the middle of our crew. but I didn't know it, so I looked and I was like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 people. Wait a minute, that means there's 5 of us. And that'll happen sometimes. This game likes to put enemies behind you all the time, but because it gives you good fodder and you heal from killing the fodder with melee attacks, or certainly my character does, feeling overwhelmed doesn't happen as often as it does in Back 4 Blood. I very often feel overwhelmed in Back 4 Blood. So this is a little bit more of a power trip. But when you fail a mission, you failed it, it's over, you go back to the hub and you choose a new mission. So, yeah, we goofed a couple times trying to experiment with a couple bosses. But, yeah, so that's Warhammer 40k Darktide. Really enjoying my first Warhammer game. Go play it. And if you need somebody to play with, join our Discord community. Again, you'll need to own it, if not through Game Pass, then at least through the Microsoft Store to play it with us. Be like Hilford, who jumped in and was like, man, all my friends own this game on Steam. I cannot play with them. But they were able to find a crew with us, so the more the merrier.
I do have a question.
Yeah?
Does it have friendly fire?
Technically, yes, but on the lowest difficulty that we were playing on, no. It gives you a blue hit marker, but I think it does 0 damage.
I was wondering because, like, dude was walking around with, like, the house, the character.
Yep.
Like, freaking 3 feet wide.
His,
I'm just like,
we'll go back here. It'll probably show him in a second. That was Chris's character. He's called an Ogren. This massive, powerful, but stupid, according to all the, you know how it is. I mean, you're big, you can't be smart. Huge character, and the other two were playing these like almost wizard telekinetic characters.
sounds like fun.
So yeah, there's like the veteran, which is soldier that I played, the like wizard telekinesis character that has a staff, the Ogren that Chris played, and then another one that I think is like faith-based somehow. If I recall, it's kind of like in Diablo and stuff where you've got someone who's wearing like pauldrons with skulls on them and a big weapon. A fanatic is, thank you, Deadpool. So, yeah, seems like a cool game with plenty of variability of gameplay. I'm probably going to spend a bunch of time with this one character first before I try out any of the other characters. But big fun. Yeah, there were a lot of times where straight up, I'm a marksman. I'm supposed to be shooting, you know, and Chris's huge Ogren body was so big in my screen that I'm just like, I can't see anything, but I'm shooting anyway. I hope I can't hurt you. Apparently, in the higher difficulties, the friendly fire does go up. Oh, and here we're crushing this boss. We fought our first like really big boss and actually beat him. Bullet sponge guy, you know, you break the shield and then you shoot his health. But something that I thought was funny, is there are treasure chests all over the map, but apparently the chance of there being anything at all in the treasure chest depends on the difficulty. So on the lowest difficulty, you'll find a huge Borderlands-sized treasure chest and open it up, and there's straight up nothing inside. There's nothing. And it happened several times, and I was just like, is it busted? And Deadpool's like, nope, it just shows you essentially how to look for the chests so that when you keep ratcheting up the difficulty, you'll keep finding better rewards, and you'll get a higher reward for actually exploring the map. But big fun. Really good time. Yep, Nerdstead, Warhammer's gonna definitely find a good home in our VODs. We'll have a bunch of that, just like we had a bunch of Back 4 Blood. So loving that. Glad to have a community to play with. Absolutely makes all the difference. So
Fuzzy.
it gives you the hopelessness immersion. I made the joke that no one in this whole world washes their hands. Not one single person. In fact, I bet that they outlaw washing your hands, and they'll call you a heretic. In fact, wait a minute. Maybe all these enemies are just the people who did wash their hands, and that's why they were cast out. It's all coming together, you know?
They're the ones who they ran their hands under the faucet, get their fingies wet, and that's it.
Yeah.
They called it good.
So wonderful. So those are our 2 games. Those, I'll talk about Darktide later, but I don't want to go completely overboard here. I've already talked a little longer than I intended, but really excited about it.
Me with Divine Knockout, because like the game is it's so good.
Yeah, I'll be
And this
interested.
one has crossplay.
Divine Knockout has crossplay?
Hmm.
That's nice. Yeah, that's a game changer. The whole not being able to crossplay with Game Pass. Boo. Odysseus, please knock a counter off of the Game Pass one because I don't like that. Uh,
20 points from Game Pass House.
oh my gosh, what would the houses be? Uh, a lot of the games you play are Epic Store games, right? Not exclusively, but you play a lot of stuff that's on there that your sports brawlers. You'd be whether you like it or not. I think your Team Epic Store. Just because we can't literally all be Game Pass,
Right.
There'd be Team Epic Store, there'd be Team Steam, Team Game Pass, and I don't know. I guess we give Vilos Team Nintendo, even though you'd probably end up fighting him for that.
Oh yeah,
It's
I'll be fine.
I don't make the rules. I'm reading the teleprompter right now, so don't blame me. Yeah, well, but 20 points, 20 points off of Game Pass right there for no crossplay. But yeah, squad up in our Discord. Come play with us. Fun game. More power fantasy than hopelessness that Back for Blood gets. Once we ratchet up the difficulty in Back for Blood, it feels hard to feel like you're doing well. And I thought I was going to fall off that game finally after playing it for like a solid year, essentially. But they keep coming out with new maps and stuff, so I'm not done with that one quite yet. Anyway, those are our two what we've been playing games. Hopefully you saw something from both of those that you enjoyed. As always, you can follow Sovereign Sid here on their Twitch channel, twitch.tv/SovereignSid, SYD, to see lots of games like that. But we want to talk about last week's show. We want to talk about the Game Awards, which were a lot of fun. There's a whole lot that we could say, but instead of doing a comprehensive recap like we have often done in the past with E3 and the Game Awards, we'll talk about 3 each of the trailers that we saw that we liked. There were a lot of good trailers this year. Across the board, lots of genres, big and small, based on Keeley's the pre-show stuff where he's like, this is the biggest show ever, but also the shortest show ever. I said, I'll believe it when I see it. We did not see it. We did not see it.
The lie detector has shown that this is a lie.
It seemed like maybe if things would have gone to plan, maybe it would have worked out, but I don't know. Good long award show.
Who would be the judge of that?
Ho, 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 ho. After Chris Judge's 14-minute acceptance speech for best performance on Kratos, God of War. And then they started playing the outro music when pretty much anyone after that for the rest of the show spoke for more than 20 seconds. Poor guys.
It sounded so inspirational until we realized what kind of music it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because he was really getting into his speech. I think he thought the music was egging him on, oh, this is my moment to shine.
Well, I mean, it worked, right? I mean, that's the point of good outro, good music like that, because it's a crescendo and it can't go up literally forever. So it's all right, I'm feeling good. The crowd's going to feel good. Oh, this is great. But yeah, we saw a bunch of trailers, a bunch of awards. It's debatable how much the awards actually matter to most people, because a lot of times we'll talk about the games for December, and then they pretty much, nobody really cares who won. I mean, I care. It exposes people to new games, but I really care about seeing more indie games get exposure. So when most of the games are God of War on every single list, or Elden Ring on a bunch of lists that I didn't necessarily agree with, despite that being my game of the year, there's a lot to enjoy, but indie trailers are where they shined. We saw lots of those, which I was excited about. I don't even have the list of awards in front of me because I didn't care enough to save them. The trailers are what we're going to show now. I'm going to start with...
And these trailers looked about as good as we did. Actually, no, we still looked better.
We looked good. We did look good.
We looked really good. I wish we had a picture to show the chat.
Oh, I can pull it up. You took a good picture. Thank you for doing that as we were playing. So I'll get that up here before the end of the stream.
Oh, yay.
But let's play. I'm going to start with one called Viewfinder. Next, we'll go to Wayfinder. We'll do them back to back just to make it as confusing as possible for everybody. 2 very different games. Here we go. So this is Viewfinder. This is a game that looks like Superliminal. It's all about mind-bending puzzles and perspective. So you have pictures and photographs. Of course, the viewfinder is, a viewfinder of a camera. That in here, it seems like you print off photos and then you can use the photos with the environment and then walk into those photos. A simple, wonderful premise, but the way that this game is built, this was a reveal right at the beginning of the show. Again, this is Viewfinder. Right at the beginning of the show that just shocked me. Like, I've seen Superliminal and the Stanley Parable and The Witness, games that really mess with your perspective, but the scope of this one, how everything blends together, I have not seen a game quite like that. So, yeah, really looking forward to that. That started off the show hot. Again, Viewfinder. I'm going to say these a million times so that we get them all lined up, because we got 6 of them here. But yeah, just a real nice single-player narrative game. If I had to guess off the top of my head, it'll probably be like a 5 or 6 hour game, just judging by the, similar games or games that are similar to it. Maybe a 10-hour game. I think The Witness was 10 hours. If you're way faster than me.
You can really only take mind bending like that for so long without going crazy yourself. So it's probably going to be on the shorter end of the spectrum.
Yes. Yeah, they'll give you the Tetris effect. You'll close your eyes for bed, and all you'll see are photos and MC Escher paintings and all that. So yeah, Viewfinder seems really cool. That'll be for PlayStation 4 and 5. I don't think we got any sort of release information on that. Yep, just that it's coming someday. Let's hop over here to Wayfinder.
It's not March 17th?
What's that?
Like everything else?
Oh my gosh.
Sure it's not March 17th?
Wow, no kidding, right? Like back to back to back to back, all between this window of like beginning of March, end of April. Probably 2/3 of the show. It felt like at least 2/3 of the show that had actual announcement dates had that same window. And I wouldn't have noticed it if you guys hadn't pointed it out, but it's like, man, I guess we've just now established where the time frame that everyone between now and then has to get rid of their backlog, to knock as many things out as possible, because if you're trying to buy some new games, once that window hits, we're just going to be inundated with all of these releases.
And to prepare your wallet, too.
Yeah.
Which is going to suck because, like, Super Mario World opens up in Universal Studios the month before. It's like February 23rd or something like that. And so It's just like, I'm just going to be broke. I'm going to live in a box, y'all. Sovereign Sid reported from the Kingdom of Box.
The Kingdom of Box. So next we've got Wayfinder. I'm going to hit play on the trailer now.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Wayfinder, it's basically like a dungeon crawler, like a typical dungeon crawler. So if you've ever played like a Baldur's Gate game, particularly Dark Alliance comes to mind. The old one, not the new one. Although I guess the new one could kind of fall into this category as well. You've got your characters that are, exploring a dungeon. I mean, there's not really much more I could say about that. There is like an intricate crafting system and a skill tree system that you can do to tailor your playstyle and upgrade your characters. There are 3 different archetypes of characters. You got your like paladin man, who is apparently the support character who provides shields and healing. Then you got your survivalist character, who is the man with all like the area controlling bonds and everything that you see on the screen just now. And then you have your typical rogue assassin character who's like super cool and has all these shadow moves that can chain together with like shadow properties and blah blah blah. So I mean, it looks really, really pretty. I'm not sure if it's going to provide anything unique as far as the role-playing genre goes, but I really like the world that it seems to be set in, and I'm not really sure how many more characters we'll be introduced to. So I'm excited to see what kind of roster we'll have by the time the game comes out. It is right now in closed beta. If you go to playwayfinder.com, you can still apply for the closed beta, and right now it is going until Monday, I believe. I'm not sure how much I could say outside of that because there's a NDA. Of course, because all the games that I play when we're talking about it on the podcast are under NDA until they're not.
Yep.
I would say I'm the Wayfinder of the video games.
Oh, wow. If I'm the streamer, does that make me the Viewfinder? Yeah? Huh? Oh, I love it.
I love us.
We're just establishing our houses right now. Team Viewfinder. Love it. So let's see. Let's go with a real banger that I know we'll both be excited for. Either both as players or maybe as a player and a watcher. We saw Hades 2 announced this time. Woo, baby! Very excited for that one. Sav, I know you watched your partner beat Hades 1. You described it as he has 300%ed it. At one point you said that, and I had not come anywhere near close to beating that game. So I was like, how can you 300% a game? Then I understood.
He said, hold my beer.
Yeah, because you'd be like, well, if it's 300%ing, then the 100% is just... It's just a long 100%, and you can't get 3 times past 100%. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Because when you play Hades, yes, you can. The first game, essentially, this is... I'm going to avoid spoilers as much as I can, but I will say this is... Hades is a roguelike where you're escaping Hades as Hades the man, the god of the underworld, as Hades' son, Zagreus. So you are trying to escape in this roguelike for all sorts of reasons, and it's very difficult. So eventually you finally escape once and realize there's more game here. Eventually you escape a lot of times, like a bunch of times, and you roll credits on the game, and then there's a lot of game after that. Eventually you can reach even more. There's always more mechanics and characters and unlocks and customizations and vanity items way past where you think the end of the game would be. So I was not expecting Hades 2. I mean, I know that game came out like 2 years ago.
I want to say it's longer.
Maybe 3 years ago. It might have been at the end of 2019. But I was...
2018.
Really? 2018. So Hades came out in 2018. Because that game stuck with me for so long, I still wasn't expecting to see it yet. Maybe another year I'd expect to see something. But we saw that trailer start playing, and at first I was like, oh, well, it's a super giant game. It's in the aesthetic of Hades. This must just be something similar. I wasn't expecting it to actually be Hades 2 with a brand new character who is presumably Hades' soon-to-exist daughter, and Zagreus' sister, because this is a character we've never seen before. But she's doing the cool Hades things, the wonderful, beautiful combat, the wonderful, beautiful visual novel narrative style as you talk to characters. I am just so thrilled to play this. I mean, God of War Ragnarok is here, and I still haven't played it, but the hype that I felt when they announced that was on the way, and we saw trailers and stuff, because God of War and Hades were both 2 games I loved right at the same time as each other. I'm feeling that same excitement that I felt for God of War here with Hades.
Is it planned, I wonder?
Oh, man.
It seems like it's planned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like, oh, okay, we got the Greeks, okay.
Well, right, because everybody's super hot on all that stuff right now. Like the past few years, we finally got away from zombie mythology, and we finally graduated towards Norse. We're bouncing here again with Hades. I would say that we bounced back again towards Greek mythology, but I love the mythology.
We could say that with like Overwatch 2. They came out with that Greek season,
You were just
Divine
talking about
Knockout, all of the Greek gods in that. Mm-hmm. So like,
yeah, so it's hot right now, and I'm here for it.
Where's Egypt?
That's actually a really good question. I want to see. Oh, you know what?
As your local resident Egyptian, I'm upset.
I watched some videos leading up to. Well, before God of War Ragnarok released, I was trying to platinum the first game. Still haven't done it. Not sure if I'm going to do it yet, or if I'm just going to skip to the end of the game, because I beat the game. So I'm really just going for.
Right now, I think.
Oh yeah.
Right now. Mm-hmm.
I'm on the hardest difficulty, and I've never tried to change it from the hardest difficulty, but I forgot that at the beginning of God of War, it tells you, hey, on this specific hardest difficulty, you can never change it. If you want to change the difficulty, you have to start a new game. Well, I forgot about that, so I have just been beating my head against the wall trying to beat the final challenges. Whew, they're tough. They're really tough. So while I was consistently losing to those difficult challenges. I had some YouTube videos playing on my phone that were telling me recaps of the story to prepare me, give me the stuff I had forgotten since I had beaten the game going into Ragnarok. Well, the video I ended up watching wasn't even about the game itself. It was actually covering, I think, a comic series that bridged the gap between the God of War trilogy and...
Yeah, and then Kratos goes to Egypt.
He goes to Egypt. I had no idea. I didn't know any of that stuff. So, like, I don't know. I don't think Kratos will ever go back to Egypt since he was already there and just the way that this trilogy is going. But who knows? Maybe they'll just try to keep the franchise going forever and he does end up in Egypt somehow.
Does that mean that God of War is going to become the new Assassin's Creed?
Let's not say that again. Let's not even put that idea. We have to separate. If we want an Egypt game, we got to separate it maybe from that, because no, I don't want a franchise. We talked about Warhammer being a great franchise for a game. I don't want to spoil Egypt. We get our first good Egypt game. Assassin's Creed's not bad. It just seems like that game was too long.
Well,
I heard a lot
what I
of
mean is
feedback.
that like Assassin's Creed has traveled to every region, explored, all the different cultures or whatever. Like I think the newest one's going to be in Japan or whatever.
Right.
So now like God of War started out in Greece, and now it's in the Netherlands, I suppose.
Yeah.
And it went to Egypt. I mean, so like, what's next? Is he gonna go to Japan? Like, it all comes back to Asia.
Check out the Caribbean. Yeah, yes, it does. Anyway, let's backtrack here. So Hades 2 seems wonderful. Saab, do you think you'll play that, or are you probably on watch duty?
I don't know. Like, it looks like such a good game to play for me, because I'm a sucker for female protagonists. I just am. I love Zagreus. I really did. I mean, maybe too much. Like when I saw a certain cosplay come out, I was just like,
Woo!
Ciao. Um, and I can't wait to fall in love with all the characters in this, like the new characters in this game too, because like I don't think there was a single one I didn't like, except maybe Skelly. Skelly got on my nerves.
Yeah, but Skelly did have one moment. Like, even Skelly had one moment where it's like, oh, wait a minute, am I actually learning Skelly's backstory? They actually gave Skelly a backstory?
Stop humanizing Skelly. I'm trying to hate him.
Oh my gosh. Well, I couldn't believe it because I was like, I was playing through and I thought, all these characters are great, but like Skelly is the one where they intentionally go out of their way to say, hey, there's no backstory. Like if you try to be friends with Skelly, he'll repeatedly be like, okay, I get what you're trying to do, and just like, stop. Like, I just don't care. I'm just here. I just want you to beat me up. I'm a target dummy, all right? And then there's like one line where he like, once you give him, the best items, he says some story about him being like a drowned ship captain in the seas, something Theseus. And then Zagreus is like, are you serious? And he's like, no, I'm just kidding. You should hit me with that sword. Immediately just comes back. It's like, now you don't know if it's real. Like, you really don't, because he's constantly telling jokes and stuff. But when it did that, I was like, literally every character now. Because Skelly would have been the only one that didn't have a proper, like, they didn't flesh him out. But they did it. So, yeah, Hades 2.
A skeleton.
Yeah.
Wait, pun.
Wow. Well, yeah, Hades 2, we don't have any sort of release date, but it'll be ready when it's ready, Hades 1 was actually in early access for almost a year. That's a stat that I tend to get wrong, but it was a long time. That game was out, and then it was when it hit 1.0 and released on all its platforms that everyone discovered it, like me. I had seen some gameplay of it when it was announced originally, didn't really care. I was not impressed by the music or the gameplay, and now that I've played it, I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, why?
Yeah, what a plebeian, what a Philistine.
But it's like an example, the game never changed. I changed. It was me.
The game changed you.
Oh, feels good. So let's see. Let's bounce over to one of yours. Do you want to talk about Blue Protocol?
Yeah. So, Blue Protocol, how I've seen, this is what I took away from the trailer. It feels like Genshin Impact, but MMO.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Because I originally thought Genshin Impact was an MMO. So this fits
Isn't it
into
crazy that it's not?
What'd you say?
It is. I said, isn't it crazy that it's not? Like, it is multiplayer, but it's not like an MMO.
Yeah, because all
So,
the like stuff around it makes it give it the aura of an MMO.
but it looks like we're getting a game in that true kind of vein. I'm really excited about this one because, first of all, it looks gorgeous.
Mhm.
I don't know where all these games are coming from with this kind of like art direction, but I'm glad that they're here.
You know where they're coming from? Asia.
Asia. It's Asia.
He's got the Asia counter in chat too. We appreciate that. Every time we say it's all coming back to Asia. Add it to the list.
This trailer, I'm just watching it again, and it's just so look at
It's
the
very
mountains,
pretty.
the environments. You can actually be a dark-skinned person in this game. Like, that's something that I'm really excited about because usually games like this, like very Tales of looking games, they don't have a lot of like significant dark-skinned characters, and that is kind of um, something that is like a trait of games from Asia.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think what was it called? That Platinum Games game that came out. Um, Gosh, I can't remember what it was called, but it was like their biggest failure ever. It was like their
not Babylon's Fall. That wasn't them, right?
no, yeah, no, that's it.
Is
Babylon's
it?
Fall. Yeah, there was like a big backlash because all of the dark skin, quote unquote, characters that you could be, they were just like this ashy mud color.
Oh yeah,
And it was just,
like a dark elf in a bunch of fantasy, like a
yeah,
where it's like
where's the richness?
yeah, it's like these are clearly it seems like they're clearly designed not to look like real humans, you know?
It's just like old Capcom black people. Like going back and seeing Resident Evil, I think 2 or 3 or whatever. There was like this black cop. I can't remember his name.
Oof.
Which is an oxymoron in and of itself, honestly. And he was just ashy. He was ashy. But I'm really excited about this one because like it looks like you can customize your character, which first of all, bingo card.
Yep.
Secondly, it looks like a very grand scope MMO. I'm wondering if it'll be like Guild Wars where it has like an evolving like world versus world kind of situation going on. I'm not really sure about all the races or classes yet, but I'm excited about that. I really like the mount system. I love me a good mount. Context is important.
Oh.
But I'm really excited about this game. Like, look at those creatures. What are you fighting? Everything looks so large scale.
So something that appeals to me just at a glance is it doesn't have a lot of fan service stuff that kind of grosses me out. I feel
like Tales of games.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Well,
Yeah.
just a lot of like even actually Genshin Impact doesn't appeal to me that much because I'm just like the way we talk about these don't look like real humans. I'm like that humans are not built like that, and no one wears that. Not to say that it has to be realistic, like people have to dress like we do. But sometimes the fan service stuff kind of grosses me out. So it's nice when games like this seem a little more approachable to people like me who feel like outsiders a little bit. Because look at these characters. I just love a woman wearing a good suit of armor, Just give me a
Instead
real
of, like,
suit of armor.
the bikini armor.
Exactly.
Every time I see bikini armor, I'm reminded of Ego Raptor's like old cartoons, like where he did like Metal Gear Awesome and Awesome the Hedgehog and all that, like way back then.
Mhm.
There was one where he did like Dead or Alive, and I can't remember what it was called, but it was probably Dead or Awesome. And it was making fun of like the volleyball one, like the volleyball spinoff.
Mhm.
And apparently one of the most expensive items in the game is just like a one piece, like a modest one piece with like, frills on it or whatever.
Mhm.
And he's just like, would you like this armor that's just like a one piece or whatever, or this one that's just a bunch of strings? Ooh. And it's the one with the strings is the only one you have to actually play the game to unlock for, which is really funny.
That is funny.
But that's always what I'm reminded of. It's just like, what is this protecting?
Right.
Not your dignity. But you know what? Armor like that is hella cute. I'm not gonna lie. It's not functional, but it's fashionable, and I will still wear it. I'm gonna die leaving a pretty corpse.
Leaving a pretty corpse. So that's Blue Protocol. That comes out sometime in 2023. That's a whole year, so who knows?
Probably March.
As another side, yeah, probably March, because we did notice that so many of the things that had a release date at all, which was most of them, or they at least had a reasonable window, like 2023, because it's December. So 2023 is within 12 months from now. Following in the footsteps of the big Microsoft show that we saw earlier this year that had like Starfield and all that other stuff on it, I really hope we keep up most of this trend of showing us games that are actually going to be playable in the next year. I've spoken at length, you guys. I'm not preaching anything new here, but I do not like having so many games teased that are like, oh, this could come out in 2 or 5 years. Just show it to me when it's fully cooked, okay?
What was it that we saw last year that was like, I think it was Beyond Good and Evil 2 or something like that, where we saw another trailer for it, and it was just like, hasn't it been like 6 years or something like that?
Yeah, and the original one, the original Beyond Good and Evil 2, had a trailer for the game that got canceled like 12 years ago, and they couldn't have known that really at the time that it was going to get shut down. You don't spend a bunch of money making a cool trailer, because it was a cool trailer, on a game that you think is going to get shuttered. But yeah, just being able to see a lot of this stuff, thinking, hey, this will be playable soon, that's cool. Because I can maintain hype for 12 months. I cannot maintain hype for 5 years. Most marketing teams can't, and it ends up kicking them in the ass in the end.
The only reason I can is because of Animal Crossing. The wait between New Horizons and New Leaf was, I think, 8 years.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm holding out. I'm holding out. And then Metroid people with Metroid Dread. So maybe it's a Nintendo thing. Maybe we just have the patience of the gods or something. Like,
yeah.
because we know when those games come out, they gon' come out.
I mean,
like,
when was the last time they made a Super Mario movie?
Oh, well, there are some things wrong with that one, and there's one big thing wrong with this one. But we're not going to get into that one.
Yeah, I don't know what that could be. We'll probably have to tune in again some other time to find out. It's anybody's guess. So let's see. That was the Blue Protocol. We've got 2 more, one from each of us. I'm going to load up this Replaced trailer. Another world premiere. These are all world premieres. First time we've seen any of this stuff or heard about them.
World premiere.
That's right. We'll get that as a soundbite from Chris here before long. This is a beautiful pixel art game. I would describe it as a 2.5D pixel game. So it seems like you're playing as you're side-scrolling, but the world itself is in 3D. So the way that the camera angles work and everything is layered on top of each other it is 3D. So it's beautiful. I'd say 2.5D is something like Limbo as well. For anybody at home trying to paint a picture in your head, Limbo or Inside. But yeah, it looks like a side-scroller game. I don't think I would describe it as noir, but it's adjacent to noir. Everything is, dark rooms with these bright lights and stuff. But everything looks kind of gross, like post-apocalyptic, or, not post-apocalyptic, but like future junkyard city. Dystopian, yeah. No idea what the game really is about, but presumably you follow your narrator. Man, I really like this pixel artwork. You follow this protagonist through this world, you climb on stuff, fight enemies. A couple times it goes out of the side-scroller mode, and I think that those are only cutscenes, but I'm not sure, because we only have the trailer to judge it by. But Replaced is the name of this game, and it looks gorgeous. Yeah, 2023 it says. Let's start that one over. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Wasn't quick enough to restart that video, so I'll do it in a second. But big fan. So yeah, pixel art game. I don't think we have any information about what platforms it's going to be on, but I'll double check this video in case I missed it in a minute. But excited for that.
I wish we knew more.
Yeah, me too.
It kind of has that same kind of like grimy, like future punk dystopian feel that like Disco Elysium had.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that.
This video says Steam, Epic Store, Xbox, and Game Pass. So it'll be on PC and Xbox for sure. Probably not going to be, at least on day one, out on PlayStation or Switch. But this seems like it could easily be a Switch game in a while. But you know how the Switch is. We might see it in like 8 months. But seems like it could be a wonderful game to play on handheld. So cool. So that's Replaced. Last, our sixth game, our sixth favorite trailer here is Earthblade.
Yeah, which is another pixel art game. So perfect transition there.
Here we go.
So I'm really excited about this game. It's giving me very like Dead Cells, Celeste, Hollow Knight vibes.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
getting some
Craters is
Dead
Celeste.
Cells
I'd
in
forgotten
there.
about that.
Oh, right, that's right. See, well,
Yeah,
look.
so there it is. Yeah,
I wonder why.
glad we're watching the trailers.
But the world that they seem to have built here seems so vast. I just want to explore. Like I feel pulled in. I feel compelled to explore this big world. And that's what I really liked about Hollow Knight is that you yeah, you have your mission that you're doing in Hollow Knight, but it's a Metroidvania, which means it's going to be a lot of backtracking, it's a lot of things like that. But one of the trap falls of Metroidvanias is that they're usually not worlds that you really care about backtracking through. Um,
But what do you mean by
but
that?
in
Because
well,
I think a Castlevania. I'm not a Castlevania diehard. I can't
right.
Darhide. But some people would say that the whole point of like knowing the map and then doing it again is that it's all about the shortcuts, right?
Well, from a strategic standpoint, yes. So I'm talking about from like a an interest standpoint. So like the worlds of Castlevania, for instance, are very pretty, but I mean, I don't care about anything in it. To me, it's just a stage. I'm advancing through the stage to get to the next part of the stage,
I
and then turning the
completely
castle upside
agree.
down, and then
Yeah,
getting to the next part of the stage, and then blah 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 blah. And the music's really cool. That's probably about it. Hollow Knight, for instance, though, I really cared about that world that they built. The characters were charming and endearing. They were relatable. I felt empathy towards the characters and their plights and various things that they were going through. Um, the music and the environment were beautiful. I really felt like I was being pulled into this like picturesque sort of environment, and it was a pleasure to explore. It wasn't a chore to go back through with all the charms and the upgrades and everything. It wasn't like a chore. And
yeah.
Castlevania and older Metroid games fall into this too. It was just like it's just another part of the screen, you know. There was
That's
nothing.
exactly how I feel.
So when I say that, like I didn't care about going back to the worlds in the other games, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
And so
it felt like
this game,
just the reverse of the thing you already did, not a
yeah,
brand new thing you're looking forward to.
or there was nothing like new about it, or nothing refreshing about it, or nothing charming, you know.
Yeah.
But this game seems to fall into that same category as Hollow Knight, where it's just like, yeah, it's a vast world that you're definitely gonna have to backtrack through, but like there's all these different biomes, there's all these different creatures. Um, you saw at the beginning of the trailer, there's like this really interesting kind of guide sort of character, whom I'm in my mind, I'm comparing him to I want to say Hypnos from Hades. Is it
Oh,
Hypnos? Every
yeah,
time you
Hypno.
respawn, you run into him, and he's just like,
No, it must be Hypnos.
I think it is him. But I'm like likening him to that character. And I was in love with Hypnos. I loved him. He was so funny. So I'm really like intrigued, by this. And I already know the music's gonna slap.
Oh, you
Look,
already
look at
know.
look at this art. And
Yeah.
then the soundtrack from Celeste, I mean, it's gonna slap.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, as soon as it opened with, which of course I forgot until we were watching again,
right.
when we watched it live and it said from the creators of Celeste, I'm just like, oh, like basically an instant buy for me.
Bingo card.
Yep, yeah. From the past 5 years, God of War, Hades, and Celeste, in I'm not sure which order, probably Hades is on top, are my three favorite games I've played,
I mean, you can be.
maybe
I
ever.
mean, what?
So yeah, it looks really exciting. The fact that it has a familiar element to the platforming and the art design with the pixel art, that seems great. But yeah, adding this like open world aspect where you're not just traveling from screen to screen in a forward way. Sometimes you explore a little bit. There are plenty of secrets in Celeste for sure, but this seems like a persistent, like almost an open world situation. Like I don't
Like
know.
it's non-linear.
Yeah, you're going all over the place. But yeah, you're not going almost through a tunnel from where you came from to where you're going. Instead, it's a huge sprawling map where you choose your direction. I'm sure you have incentives to go certain places for certain reasons, but your comparison to Hollow Knight just seems rad. Because that was a game I probably watched about 10 hours of that on Twitch from our friend Stream Noodles, and yeah, like every time he would just go somewhere, I'd be like, oh, maybe this looks familiar to me, but I haven't seen this area or character or ability or challenge or trial. Just constantly new things to look at, and then an element of like, even when you go back to a place later in Hollow Knight, it might be different based on what you've done in the game at that point, which isn't something you would have gotten with older games or games where you just go one direction and nothing changes behind you. I will say that element that I liked about Hollow Knight was something, it was like the one thing I really did like about Nier Automata, which if Vilas was here, he'd be like, bruh, then you should have kept playing the game. I can hear it right now. Because that's what literally that whole game is. But yeah, this wonderful sense of feeling like you're exploring, even when you're going to somewhere you've been already. So that's going to be a day one buy for me. That is Earthblade. What did it say at the end? Oh gosh, I gotta backtrack these. I need to write down the release dates because I think I'm gonna like pay attention during the trailer. But I get so
I feel like we
excited.
should have put them in our notes here, but we were just like so excited.
Right. 2024. Sometime during 2024.
That's such a year away.
I know. Yeah, that could be 2 whole years away if they release it at the end of the year.
It's kind of funny that you mentioned Nier Automata because they recently announced, well, it wasn't them who announced it, but Naraka Blade Point, which is one of the games that I wayfound for us. You know, I had my nose, my sniffer on the radar way before it came out. They just announced a collaboration. 2B is going to be coming out in that game as a playable character, so that's going to be real fun.
Nice. I think we even, at some point during the show, saw another DLC crossover for Dead Cells in some game. Like, do you remember seeing that?
Shoot, when I was getting the trailers, I just saw it. It'll come back to me.
Yeah, but I thought that was funny because we bring that up a lot as being a wonderful example of, almost like a Smash Bros. For roguelikes, for side scrollers.
It's like the Munchkins, like the tabletop game Munchkin.
Yep.
Castlevania. It was Castlevania.
Oh, it was Castlevania, wasn't it?
Castlevania. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Castlevania characters coming to Dead Cells.
So you like to play Castlevania? Speaking of Yuga Raptor.
All right. So cool. So those are 6 trailers that we hoped you guys liked as much as us, and I'm sure that we're going to be talking about them again as the release dates get closer and as they come out with more trailers. Really looking forward to another Earthblade trailer across their development. Wish it was coming out next year is really what I wish, but the games in the order that we talked about them, we started with what we've been playing with Divine Knockout, moved on to Warhammer 40k Vermintide, and then the 6 trailers that we watched are Viewfinder, where you jump into the pictures, Wayfinder, where it's almost that brawler, almost as an aesthetic of Dauntless, kind of. Be forgiving with me on that.
Kind of.
You compared it to Baldur's Gate a little bit.
Yeah.
We had Hades 2, which needs no more exclamation or explanation. We watched Blue Protocol, the very pretty anime Genshin-like MMO game. So, Blue Protocol, you said, is an MMO, right?
Yes, it is an MMO.
Cool. I got to remember that. That was Blue Protocol. Then we watched Replaced, the 2.5D pixel art game. And then we watched Earthblade. So all but one of those come out in 2023, I believe. So we'll really be looking forward to those. Gaming. Good year for gaming. And as we had mentioned before, a lot of those games come out starting about mid-March. So that's the shot calling, or I mean that's the clock has started. I don't know what phrase I had that was almost on the tip of my tongue. The clock starts now for getting your backlog knocked out, because once we hit March, the games are going to be coming out very steadily. So January, February, get that backlog knocked out. Let us know what you guys will be playing, both over the holiday break and during that time. It's the only time of the year where we really get a chance to breathe for just a minute. Used to be that with the E3 really being the main public conference for big trailers and stuff, it meant that everything was announced at E3. It released around this time of year, and then there was a big drought at the beginning of the year. Now, the drought doesn't really exist like it used to, but this might be the first year that I feel like we have a moment of reprieve. We started to see a lot more releases out of like January and February and stuff, and then it just meant that 12 months of the year we would always just see new things. But yeah, hoping that we can get a whole lot of stuff played so that March hits and we'll be able to hit the ground running on all these PlayStation and Game Pass games.
And remember, you can always play with us in our Discord.
That's
Once
right.
these games launch, if you're looking for someone to play with, yo, it's us.
So there's a link to our Discord in chat for everybody out there. It's discord.gg/partyinvite-show. That's a permanent link. You can use it anytime. But this has been the Party Invite Show. Again, I wish we could have saved the VOD from last week, but this is just a reminder that when we do these award shows, we really encourage you to tune in live because it is a there and gone experience. We had a ton doing it.
Fun a ton.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun doing that. We talked in the pre-show about some games this year that we've really enjoyed. Because the holidays are so busy, we're not really going to have a proper time like we typically do to have a big at-length discussion of our favorite games of the year across a bunch of categories. We've played plenty of games. I've mostly played games from other years. What's new? But what we'll do this year, you can expect on our socials a bunch of shorter videos, basically some YouTube short length videos on some of the most memorable games that we've played this year. So those will be from all of us team members. They'll be not just what was the best stuff that we've played, but anything from we can expect anything from what were our favorite gameplay experiences with our community, who were the most charming characters, what was the best music, the drill on all that stuff. So. So no super long podcast. I think last year we had almost a 3-hour long show.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun, but we won't be doing that again this year. But you'll still have
real hard not to make mine entirely Pokemon.
And it'd be okay if you did though. They're your videos,
I know, but I mean, I played some other stuff too. It's probably gonna be Pokemon though.
It sounds like a challenge to yourself.
Yeah, I'm gonna show. I'm gonna really because it's what's it called? Recency bias.
Uh-huh.
Recency bias is like real strong with me, real strong. So I'm gonna try and really dig over this course of the year, to see if I don't know. It's gonna be hard because Pokemon Scarlet and Violet was so good.
Yeah,
I cried twice on stream on camera. Like it impacted me. So I don't know. It's gonna be tough.
It will be tough. I also struggle from recency bias a lot. I mean, Elden Ring came out earlier this year, and I was completely blown away. But then in thinking about, and I knew it was my game of the year, it still is. But in thinking about recording these videos for this discussion, I'm sitting here thinking I don't even know if I have footage, but I'm gonna have to go back and play again. It's funny because there's so many things I know I've forgotten, little things that in the time were just so memorable, but now I can't remember. But on the flip side of that, I might boot it up to get some footage and then just be like, oh, I'm playing this for 50 hours this holiday break, because I did love it, but I just get so excited about the things I've played recently that are fresh on my mind that it is tough for me to take a step back and look at my own bigger picture of what has my year really looked like. So yeah, I'll be doing that.
It's especially funny for me because for me, it's a lot of Pokemon. I mean, Unite, Sword and Shield, Go. It's going to be really hard to decipher, separate everything from everything. So I'm excited because going back and looking, especially through my Twitch and everything, seeing what I've played over the years and everything. The Twitch recap really helped with that. A lot of it was Pokemon. But how I've changed and grown and evolved as a gamer during that year. All of my different tastes, how they've changed, if they've remained the same. I think that's true of anybody who plays games because, I mean, a lot of stuff comes out all the time for gamers who, don't just sports their duty yet. You know what I mean?
Yep, I do.
So it's fun. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be great. Not everybody plays new games, and not everybody has either a lot of time or a lot of money to play a bunch of things. So we really hope that through this, we can give you something, give you a good picture of something that is absolutely worth that investment, especially for people who don't play a lot. who just want one solid recommendation of one game that they'll love. So yeah, look forward to that, and that'll continue past the new year. We've got so many games to talk about. We've also got games we're looking forward to playing. I'm excited to talk about some of the games I played this year that did not come out in 2022. Just a bunch of games that either had good 1.0 releases or updates, or something else happened that made it more than just a flash in the pan here in our community. It's been a really fun year of gaming. It's been a really fun year.
It really has.
Well, wonderful. Well, we're going to take a short break before we go to our video segment, our game segment, where we'll be finishing up Magicka 2. But for everybody here who has joined us for the podcast segment, thank you very much. If you like the show, we ask that maybe you share it with a friend. Word of mouth is the best way to grow our community in a way that keeps it filled with good people, you know? Sometimes people will jump into our community, and when they tell us they know somebody, we already know they're good people. That doesn't mean that other people are not allowed. It just means that we're really thrilled to know that the people here are here because they want to be surrounded by other like-minded, constructive people. You know? Plenty of places on the internet to be salty, but this ain't one of them. So, I have been Tegan, Sovereign, Sovereign Sid. Thank you for joining me here.
Yay, that's me. It's been fun.
It has been a lot of fun. So we'll take a short break. We'll be back here in a minute, but we'll talk to everybody later for the podcast, same time next week.
Bye.
Bye.